In places like Anadarko, Oklahoma, part of the Kiowa tribal jurisdiction, gatherings like this one are often joyous events, celebrations. Saturday's meeting in a Riverside Indian School gymnasium was much more serious and sober.
I spent 12 years in this hellhole, and that's what it was like, hell.
84-year-old Donald Nakoni says he was forbidden from speaking his language during his time at this school.
Every time I tried to talk Kiowa, they put lie in my mouth.
Beatings, he added, were frequent.
They whipped me, and they whipped me, and they whipped me.
U.S. Interior Secretary Deb Haaland came specifically to hear these stories of abuse and mistreatment suffered by survivors of federal Indian boarding schools. Her own survivors in the Laguna Pueblo community experienced it too.
I will listen with you, I will grieve with you, I will weep, and I will feel your pain.
The hardships were felt in hundreds of schools in dozens of U.S. states over some 150 years, part of a systematic policy to assimilate indigenous students into a white Anglo way of life. But survivors say they were robbed of their culture, identity, even humanity along the way.
When I got out, they issued me towels, sheets, and told me I was no longer allowed to use my name. I was given a number, and my number was 199.
Punishments were often severe. Just as graves have now been discovered on the grounds of Indian boarding schools in Canada, countless Native American children are believed to have died too.
They locked them in rooms, like with no light, no food, no water, no going to the restroom for days. And they were just cruel to them.
Only now are these horrors finally coming to light.
It's been such a secret, nobody wants to talk about it.
This Road to Healing tour, of which this was the first stop, aims to use truth to promote spiritual and emotional healing across generations in these communities.
To me, that's what's going to heal our people, by bringing back our spirituality. That's a big part of who we are. And a lot of that was stolen from our ancestors.
Today, Riverside Indian School, which is run by the Bureau of Indian Education, is set to provide a very different atmosphere for its nearly 800 students from 75 different tribes. But many lives have already been changed. Plenty of damage here and elsewhere has already been done.
It may be good now, but it wasn't back then.
The Oklahoma gathering was largely private to allow survivors and their descendants to speak freely. Trauma support and therapy was offered to those who needed it. An oral history will be created to document what happened.
This is 2022. We don't need to be trying to whitewash it and say that it didn't happen. It did happen.
Only now is word really getting out. The journey to healing is just beginning. Hendrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Anadarko, Oklahoma.